Welcome to Ancient Echoes, where the past comes alive with stories that transcend time. In today's journey, we'll unravel the story of ancient Rome, where a single spark almost brought the mighty empire to its knees. But, as always, Rome's resilience shines through the ashes. If you love epic tales from history, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with fellow history enthusiasts. Join us on this adventure through time, and together, we'll explore the legends and turning points that shaped our world. Don't miss out, subscribe now and let the echoes of the past guide you. Rome, the Eternal City, stood as the unrivaled center of the ancient world, a metropolis of wealth, grandeur, and absolute power, where emperors wielded dominion over vast lands. But in the sweltering summer of 64 AD, a single spark would ignite a catastrophe beyond imagination. What began as a flicker in the shadows soon became an all-consuming inferno, reducing the mighty capital to smoldering ruins. The Great Fire of Rome was not just a calamity, it was a moment of reckoning that threatened to bring the empire to its knees. At the peak of its grandeur, Rome was a city of striking contrasts. Majestic stone temples and opulent palaces stood as symbols of its power, yet the vast majority of its people were crammed into fragile insulae, wooden tenement buildings piled high, a cityscape waiting to be consumed by fire. Flames were an ever-present danger. Streets flickered with torchlight, homes glowed with oil lamps, and meals were prepared over open flames. Yet, despite the ever-looming risk, no one could have imagined the devastation that was about to descend upon the empire's heart. It started in the shops lining the Grand Circus Maximus, where the echoes of chariot races and cheering crowds had long defined the city's heartbeat. Whether sparked by accident, a stray ember, or a deliberate act of destruction, the flames took hold with ruthless speed, devouring the wooden structures in moments. Fueled by the dry summer air and driven by fierce winds, the fire surged through the city like an unstoppable force. What began as a flicker became an all-consuming inferno, leaping from street to street, reducing homes to embers, and turning the night into a hellish glow. Panic erupted. Screams tore through the smoke-choked air as families fled in terror, their escape routes blocked by collapsing buildings and waves of searing heat. The fire showed no mercy, swallowing temples, marketplaces, and the proud monuments of Roman civilization in its relentless path of destruction. Chaos consumed the city. Those desperate to escape found themselves trapped in a nightmare. Narrow streets became deadly corridors as towering walls crumbled and flaming debris sealed off every path. Smoke choked the air, turning cries for help into muffled whispers beneath the roar of the inferno. Even the Tiber River, once a symbol of life and prosperity, now mirrored the haunting glow of Rome's destruction. For 6 relentless days and 7 hellish nights, the fire showed no mercy. When the flames finally died, nearly 2/3 of the city lay in ruins. Great landmarks, the Temple of Jupiter Stator, the Sacred House of the Vestal Virgins, and countless other icons of Roman might, were reduced to smoldering remnants of their former glory. In the wake of the devastation, the people of Rome demanded answers. Whispers turned to accusations, and soon, a chilling rumor spread: Emperor Nero had set the fire himself, watching in twisted delight as the city burned, plucking melodies from his lyre while chaos reigned. But the truth, as always, was far more complex. Nero was many things: an artist, a ruler obsessed with his own grandeur, and a man feared as much as he was revered. Yet, no solid evidence tied him to the fire. In its aftermath, he threw open the doors of his palaces to the displaced and orchestrated emergency relief efforts. But no act of generosity could silence the growing rage of the Roman people. Suspicion festered, and the need for a scapegoat would soon take a deadly turn. With the city in ruins and unrest mounting, Nero needed someone to blame. His gaze fell upon the Christians, a small but growing sect already regarded with suspicion by the Roman elite. Declaring them the culprits behind the inferno, he unleashed a wave of terror that would stain history with blood. Thousands were seized, imprisoned, and subjected to unspeakable horrors. Some were burned alive, their bodies used as human torches to light Nero's gardens. Others were thrown to ravenous beasts in the Colosseum, their deaths transformed into grotesque entertainment for the masses. What followed was not just punishment, it was a message, a warning written in fire and suffering. The persecution of Christians would become one of the darkest and most infamous chapters in Rome's long and brutal history. Though the fire had left Rome scarred, the empire refused to crumble. From the smoldering ruins, a new city began to rise. Seizing the moment, Nero embarked on an ambitious project, his grand domus aurea, the Golden House, an opulent palace sprawling across the heart of Rome, a symbol of both his extravagance and his vision for a reborn capital. Reconstruction efforts reshaped the city. Streets were widened to prevent future infernos from spreading unchecked. New fire regulations were introduced, and towering stone structures replaced the flimsy wooden insulae that had once fueled the blaze. Out of destruction came transformation, ensuring that Rome would not only survive but endure for centuries to come. The Great Fire of Rome was more than just a disaster, it was a turning point that reshaped the very fabric of the empire. It transformed the city's architecture, altered the trajectory of Nero's reign, and ignited a persecution that would forever mark the early struggles of Christianity. Though Rome would face many more trials in the centuries to come, the Inferno of 64 AD stood as one of its greatest ordeals. It was a moment of destruction, rebirth, and reckoning, a blazing testament to both the city's vulnerability and its unyielding resilience. The fire that threatened to annihilate an empire ultimately became its defining moment. Rome, the eternal city, refused to be swallowed by the flames. From the ashes, it rose again, stronger and more resolute than before. In the face of unimaginable destruction, it proved that history is not written by what is lost, but by the strength to rebuild and endure. Subscribe to Ancient Echoes for more epic stories from history, where the past is brought to life in ways you've never experienced before.